Today we are in the 25th chapter of Luke. And this is the second parable. The first parable in Luke was this parable of the 10 bridesmaids. And we know that there were 5 foolish bridesmaids and there were 5 wise bridesmaids. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That parable really wasn't about lamps, was it? It really even wasn't about oil. That parable was used to convey a greater meaning. This parable today is about a greater meaning. Jesus approached his people and told them that you got to wait, that you're waiting for the kingdom of heaven, but it's coming, but you got to wait. And when you wait, you have to be ready. There's this concept of time. And at the 7 o'clock service, I made a statement. I said, time is it's a very unique thing. That as I get older, I see time differently. And I said something like, our lifetimes can be very long, but in reality, they're very short. And a 9-year-old member of the congregation pulled out a piece of paper and said, how in the world is life long but short? And I had to think to myself, when I was 9 years old, it seemed like Christmas took forever to come. But now it's like Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. These years are flying by faster and faster. And I thought about several folks that I buried in this parish who were over 100 years old. And I look at their lives, and I look at all the things that they have seen in their lives, in this long, beautiful centenarian life. But even in the stream of history, that even 100 years is but a blip. It is as if we are vapor. So as I think about time and think about waiting, we need, should I say, perhaps we need to move with a sense of urgency. Maybe we need to look at our lives that these little bitty years that we have here really mean something. And we have the ability to make them really mean something. And I think time is a funny thing because it depends on how you look at it. I can imagine a person who goes through his or her life, and every Monday is the same, and Wednesday is hump day, and Friday is happy hour, and then Monday they're up doing it again, and it's that same sort of humdrum, banal cycle over and over, like, oh, I can't wait till I retire, and then when you retire, you're not feeling too well. You can't move like you used to move, and our lives kind of pass us by. We don't really want to accept the fact that our lives are really this finite period of time. Now, as we get into the details of this scripture, I want you to be able to move your brains, move your minds, move your imaginations to deal with the actual and the metaphorical. Think of this parable in actuality and metaphor. There's some hard words in this parable. I'm going to tell you about a slave master who gave some money to his slaves. And I'm going to tell you about a slave that was punished. But let us think about this at another level. Let us think about the concept of talents, because we know that a talent was a measure of money. There was a landowner, there was a slave owner who went away. He approached his 3 slaves. He said, okay, slave number 1, I'm going to give you 5 talents. Slave number 2, I'm going to give you 2 talents. And slave number 1, I'm going to give you one talent. We'll see what you do with that. And right away, the first slave invested, traded those 5 talents and doubled the money. And then the second slave invested and traded and doubled the money. But the third slave, he took that money and he hid it. He dug a hole and he hid the master's money. We can look at this as investing our money properly. We can mix up the slave economy and the capitalist economy and have a narrative that is really hard to stomach in this moment. But we can think about the talents and the gifts and the money that is passed through our hands. And we can see this metaphor coming to us. Because it tells us that after some time, after time had passed, the master came back. And he took an account of the slaves. And I can imagine the first one came with his chest puffed up. Master, I took those 5 talents you gave me, and I worked my fingers to the bone. I used my mind and my creativity, and I invested. And I doubled the money. And then the second one came in filled with pride. I only had 2 talents, but you know what I did with those 2 talents? I invested them. And I doubled my money. I wonder if anyone here has ever had that feeling of success, that they made something out of nothing. Or maybe you can relate to the third slave who came in and said, well, master, I know you gave me something. I didn't blow it, but I didn't do too much with it. I just took it and I kind of hid it. And I let it stay there. I protected it. The master looked at the first servant and he heard about these 10 talents that were returned. It was like, you good and trustworthy slave. You've been trustworthy with a little. And now I'm going to open up everything to you. And then the second slave. You've been trustworthy with a little. But now I'm going to open up everything to you. Both of these slaves were brought into the joy of the master's kingdom. And I wonder what Jesus is really telling us about this third slave. What was going on with this third slave? First of all, why did he only get 1 talent? What had he done in the past? You know, I think that this third slave was very smart. I believe that this third slave was very analytical. He did his research. And he made a very good decision. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to get down there because I can lose something if I get down there in the arena. If I get on the battlefield, I can really lose something. I can get my feelings hurt. I can lose my money. And you know, that master I have, he's nothing nice. I don't really want to mess with that master. So I'm going to take what he has, and I'm going to hide it. So it's as if that third slave refused to get in the mix. He sort of stayed on the sidelines with his intellect and his analysis. I thought about this and I came upon a snippet of a speech by a president of ours. And if you allow me, I'll read it. It's not very long. And I can imagine that Roosevelt was thinking about this bright, analytical third slave who was a critic. He didn't really get down and dirty with everybody, but he thought about things, and he analyzed things, and he kind of decided to stay out of the fray. And I can see Franklin Roosevelt writing this about that critical, analytical slave. He wrote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or whether the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who at the best knows at the end the triumph of high achievement, and at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. There's something inherent about life, brothers and sisters. There's something about that finite amount of time that we have on this earth that motivates us to greatness, that motivates us to achieve something while we still have life in our bodies. You see, you can look at time on the mundane, natural level. Today is Sunday, tomorrow will be Monday. Wednesday is hump day, and I need a happy hour. You can look at your life in that kind of mundane kind of way, but you can look at it in the supernatural way. The supernatural way. Right now, we are sitting in a building that did not always exist. Right now, we're sitting in a space that was not always inhabited. That right before us is the infinite love and expanse of time that God has given us. And all we really have is this short window to really make something of ourselves. And if you ever try to achieve anything in your life, and you felt that pressure on you, you probably got down on your knees at some point and prayed to God. And you prayed hard and long. They say you are who you say you are. I believe that you are who you pray you are. Because you can say a whole bunch of stuff. And I know people who say a whole bunch of stuff. But when that person gets down on his or her knees and prays, and they pray for what they want, that's when you know you're serious. Brothers and sisters, you are who you pray you are. Don't be that timid, cold soul in the stadium looking down on the arena, analyzing things with your bright imagination in your brain, but not actually doing anything. Get down in that field. Get down in the arena and do something with all the gifts that you have. And I can imagine all the talents that you possess. Maybe you are an artist, a musician. Maybe you are a dancer. Maybe you are a writer. We know where that came from. You know, maybe you are a great singer, like I am. But you have to use your talents. You have to use your gifts. If you're sitting on your gifts because you don't want to get embarrassed, or you think that it's not a big deal, you got more time, no, brothers and sisters. I believe that third slave was a critic, was a thinker who refused to do. Now, I didn't just make this up. It's in the text. That's what Jesus said. This is how he described that third slave. He said, "Master, I know that you are a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you have not planted seeds." That's what he said. That's what the limitations. He looked at his environment and saw all this pressure coming upon him. And he was afraid. I can imagine that a person who has a very mundane, natural view of time sees nothing but fear. Like, oh, I don't want to go here because something bad might happen. I know I may be able to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm not even going to try because something bad is going to happen. That's the mentality that third slave. He was upset. He was afraid because he thought something bad would happen. Didn't happen to the first one. Didn't happen to the second one. It really didn't happen to the third one. The problem with the third one was fear itself crippled him. You know, there are people out here who God has blessed, and they seem like things just come to them really easily. Part of it is a mentality. Part of it is a mindset. Part of it is a worldview. My brothers and sisters, I believe you are not who you say you are, but you are who you pray you are. If there is something that you really want, I don't care what that thing is, that thing that you want, and if you don't want anything, start wanting something. But imagine that thing that you want. Imagine that thing that's right outside your grasp. Imagine it. I came here to tell you that you can have it. You can have it. You can express it. I know you. I know you got good intentions for the world. Now is the time to do it. It's not hard. It's right in front of you. Don't be in the arena. Don't take your gifts and bury it in the dirt. Get down in the arena and share your gifts. Let them blossom. Let them grow. You're not who you say you are. You are who you pray you are. That slave walked up to the master. Oh, you are a harsh man. He's critical. He's critical. Oh, you harsh man. You reap where you haven't sown, and you gather where you have not planted seeds. He is critical. And the response was, you evil and wicked slave. I'm going to take what you have. I'm going to take what you have, and I'm going to give it to the one with the 10 talents. Now, wait a minute. The text says, but those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away from them. But those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken from them. Those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken from them. How do you have something if you have nothing? Those who believe that they have nothing. Those who believe that they have nothing will lose what they have because they have something and they just don't see it. Those who believe that they have nothing, what they have will be taken. You have to see what you have. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to give me an amen. I need an amen. But why help somebody? You got to see what you have, brothers and sisters. You have abundance right before you, but he believed that he didn't have anything. That third slave believed that he did not have anything. So what he had, he took it and he hid it. But those who have, those who see what they have, more will be given. And they will live a life of abundance. Those who see what they have, more will be given. And they will live a life of abundance. That's why you got to pray, brothers and sisters. You got to pray a prayer of thanksgiving. A prayer of thanksgiving is the most powerful thing in the world. A prayer of thanksgiving makes you take account of all the things that you have. Like when you're feeling down and you're feeling low, get on your knees and say, you know what? I don't feel that bad. I can feel a little bit worse. I don't have all the stuff I want, but I got a little bit of money. I may not have the man or the woman I want, but I got some friends. And that piece of man or piece of woman I got ain't that bad. Take account of what you have and pray that prayer of thanksgiving, because once you see what you have, you begin to see how to multiply it. You begin to see the value of it. You're not who you say you are who you pray you are. You are who you pray you are. The Lord has been our God and life. Before this building existed, before that sidewalk and those streets, the Lord has been our God and life. That's why you are who you pray you are. Amen. Before the hills and the mountains, the Lord has been our God and life. That's why you are who you pray you are. Before the universe existed and consciousness came into the world, the Lord has been our God and life. That's why you are who you say you are. You are who you say you are. Amen.